Yesterday, Pentagon officials announced sweeping changes to the military's recruiting process as the Army faces recruitment challenges that they've not seen really in the 50 years since the end of the draft. Among the changes, no longer will the Army place officers on temporary assignment as recruiters. Instead, they're going to have a team of permanent, full-time talent acquisition specialists who will handle that role. But are those the reforms that are really needed? Are they missing what is actually hurting the military recruitment and retention? Joining me now to discuss this is retired Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin. He serves as FRC's Executive Vice President. General Boykin spent his last 4 years of his 36-year military career serving as the Deputy Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence. He was also one of the original members of the Army's Delta Force. General, welcome back to Washington Watch. Always great to see you.
Good to be with you, Tony.
So the Pentagon officials have identified what they call a problem. 2 years in a row, they've missed their recruiting numbers. This year, they were 10,000 short. Last year, they were 15,000 short. So is this just a matter of not having talent acquisition specialists in place?
I tell you, we come up with a new name for just about everything that is problematic. And what's problematic here is we're not attracting these young men and women across America because we are offering them nothing but bullying and woke agenda training. Now stop and think about that. If you were of an age, and you're way too old now to even think about this, but if you were of an age to be looking to go into the military, would you want to go into the military that does not train you for war, that does not give you anything to make you feel like a warrior, feel like somebody that can go out on that battlefield and be victorious? But what they do give you is critical race theory and inclusion training and all of these things. The Army is failing, the whole military is failing to recruit adequate people because they will not face up to the reality that they have gotten so far off track that they need to go back to the time-tested things that we've used to fill the ranks of our military. And if they don't, we're going to wind up with a draft is the only option.
General, I'm going to sidestep the comment about my age there for a moment, and I'm going to move on to a substantive discussion. This brings us to a point of having the smallest force since 1940. That was before World War II. Mm-hmm. Does this put us in jeopardy when we talk about national security?
Oh, there's no question about that, Tony. Listen, all you have to do is look at what's happening with Russia, Iran, North Korea, the Chinese. As they are building up their forces, as they are gaining strength, the kind of strength that they will need in a war against America, which is their primary target, we ought to look at ourselves and say, now, are we keeping up with them at least? And the answer is we are not. And it's for the reasons I just talked about a few minutes ago. We are doing things that have nothing to do with preparing for war. They have everything to do with a radical leftist agenda of this administration and others like them around the world, and we call them Marxist.
So has this problem been veiled somewhat? Because in the last 2 decades, we've really relied very heavily on special forces to do our work. And so we're kind of losing that warrior class. That's been actually happening for a while. We've been reliant upon special forces, but are they now being affected as well by these woke policies?
They are indeed, and I hate to say that, but yes, they are. The special forces are being impacted by this as well. Maybe not to the extent that some of the conventional forces are, but the special forces, the Rangers and others, yes, they're all being impacted by these mandatory things that they have to do, which in most cases take time away from what they really ought to be doing, which is out there on the range, out there shooting their weapons, becoming proficient in their skills. And those are the skills that they're going to need on the battlefield. And we're
But-
wasting a lot of time.
But it's not only the wasted time, it's also the environment that's created by this, where, using the wrong pronoun in some cases could become a career-ending misstep.
That is correct. And the other part of it is that we have bullied our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines. We've bullied them all. And if you read through some of the stuff that's available right now, you'll find out that we put out 8,000 people, over 8,000 actually, in the Army alone. And if you talk to some of the soldiers that I have talked to, they will tell you they were bullied. And some of them were bullied into taking the vaccine, and others who refused to take it were put out of the military. Bullying. Now, you think that they are going to want to, any soldier is going to want to follow a leader that has just bullied him into doing something that he is very opposed to, which is take a vaccine that he does not believe in for various reasons, part of which are his personal faith. That's not going to happen. You're not going to get a soldier on the battlefield to follow a leader that knows that that leader does not care about him. He cares about his next promotion, and he is not going to do anything to try and preserve that soldier's career. He's going to follow some ridiculous instructions that he has received and hasn't done anything to push back on it and say, my soldiers don't want this.
And it
my
starts
soldiers don't need this.
Starts at the very top.